Yeah. It's a little rock with the one drive by the 7 the one drive here. You say you buy it. Shared. Down. It's really a lot.
And then the email.
Yep. Yep. I think looks like it burned, but.
Okay.
All right, great. Thanks, Colton. Well, welcome to our first in-person meeting that we've had in a very long time. So I apologize for not being there today. I will be there in person tomorrow. So thanks for bearing with me. And we will go ahead and call our meeting to order. So Carol, I don't believe we have an on-site packet to my knowledge. Is that correct?
That is correct. We do not.
Okay. So we'll on to additions or revisions to the agenda.
Yes, this is Carol Moreland, and we need to amend the agenda to add Stormont Vale long-term provider 5-year renewal into it. And then there should be a motion about amending it. And just to let everybody know about the motions, they'll be done how we used to do them before we started meeting in person. So there's motions laying there, and then whoever makes the motion just needs to be the signature of the maker, check it, and then check who seconded it, and then just leave them there and we'll pick them up afterwards.
Great. So we will entertain a motion if anyone would like to make one with respect to the changes to the agenda.
Sure, I can do that. I move to amend the agenda to add Stormont Vale Health Center long-term 0072-0538 to the long-term provider 5-year renewal section.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes. Saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries. So we'll move on. Any announcements? Carol, anything you want to share with us?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. We'll go down to approval of the minutes then from our June meeting. Starts on page 3 of your packet. Whenever someone's ready, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move to approve it. This is Melanie.
Thanks, Melanie.
I can second. This is Andrea Watson.
Thank you, Andrea. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. So we'll start with our unfinished business. How about an update on the CNE regulations? Carol, can you help us with that?
I can. If you remember right, we did revisions to 60-9-105, 60-9-106, and 60-9-107. And when they went through the renewal process, one out of that, the 60-9-106, did not make it through the Attorney General's review. There was one change that I need to make. So I did make that and have started them back through. They've been through the Department of Administration and they're waiting for review at the Attorney General's office.
Great.
And just to let you know, I think this came up last time, you kind of felt like in our existing ones, there's a little bit of confusion on sometimes where it says over 30 minutes or under 30 minutes or something. And I looked through and I think it's much clearer now how you did it, because it'll say like fractions of hours, 30 minutes or greater shall be computed, you know, and of at least 30 minutes. So I think a lot of that language was cleaned up in the revision. So I think it should be much clearer. Yeah.
So you can give credit for 30, which would be 0.6.
Mhm.
No, thank you.
Uh-huh. So that's all I have to say. So hopefully maybe they'll be further through the Attorney General and more down the process by the time we meet in December.
That sounds great. That sounds great. All right. Thanks for your work on that, Carol. I know those processes aren't easy. So we appreciate you shuffling those through all those departments. Moving on to new business then, our IOA statistical report.
That's in page 7 in your packet for June and July. You know, we continue to see the IOAs. I think the majority of the IOAs, since I'm doing them now, appear to be for college courses, you know. Again, I think we're getting closer to CE broker and being able to get that implemented and stuff like that. So I would think that that's going to have an impact on the IOAs and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see how those are affected.
So any questions from anyone regarding the IOA report?
I was just asking if CE broker would be able to. How will that?
Well, there's different things that can be done with CE broker. Like if I want the free package that every licensee will have access to, you know, I can submit like my certificates and stuff for them, and they keep track of all of that. Okay. Now, as you kind of go up in packages and stuff like that, they have CNE that you can take. You know, you can put in like you want advanced practice, CNE, maybe in pharmacology, and it will come up the options there and stuff like that. So it does kind of go up in what you can do. I would imagine that our own CE providers can put their courses in there. And then like if somebody put in ACLS, okay, and I took ACLS from them, okay, when the roster is given to CE broker, that's automatically put in there for me. What will help the Board of Nursing is when we do audits, we don't have to ask for the CE certificates if everything is in CE broker. We just sign into CE broker. Pull up me if you want, you know, if I'm part of a CE audit, you can pull up and you can see what I've done in this 2-year period and stuff like that. So there's advantages for the licensee, there's advantages for the Board of Nursing. I would anticipate the IOAs will go down. I'm not really sure about college courses, how those are actually put in there, but anyway. It'll be interesting to see, yeah.
So will health stream connect with them as well?
I don't know.
Is that?
Health Streams, Relias, do you remember hearing if maybe those were?
Sure, they're in there, but they can always apply or whatever, fill out the information, and then CE broker can bring them in.
CE brokers, there's other boards of nursing who use them and speak highly of doing it with them. So we're not like the first one. Anything like that. So I'm hoping it will simplify CNE for our licensees, because you can go in there and see what the requirement is, because some of our licensees don't even remember that they have to have 30 hours every 2 years, you know, and stuff like that. So,
Is there a fee to CE providers for using CE broker?
It depends. I think there are some certain areas where they do have some sort of a fee service, and that's kind of how you recoup some of their revenue. But I believe there's also some that are, you know, not as much or potentially free. I think it goes by ranking.
we had some discussion with CE Broker about putting in the requirements for a single provider and like the renewal. All this information, when they send in these renewal packets, all of that can be put in CE Broker. Okay, and then hopefully that process would work a little bit better. So that might relieve some of this approval that you go through. I don't know that for sure, but there was some discussion about being able to put all of that in, and then this stuff could be submitted to them. So you may see some changes in that too. Kind of exciting.
Great discussion. Thank you. Carol, the annual report?
Yeah, this starts on page 8. And truthfully, what you have here is what we've received or not received. I have not had time to contact the ones who haven't submitted anything to remind them. I've been a little tied up with other things, but I will certainly do that so that, you know, if they don't plan on staying a provider, you know, in the past, we've kind of let them go a couple of years before we kind of follow up on that. And I'm trying to change that so that we can get them off if they're not going to meet our requirements to stay as a provider. So I'm kind of working. Just to kind of let you know, you don't have these totals on here, but you know, we've always kind of looked because during the pandemic, there wasn't as much CE done. And a lot of it was done online and stuff like that. So as far as offering numbers in 2022, there was 152 more offerings. And contact hours, that came out to be 442 more. APRN, there was a lot more, like 885. We lost a little bit on RN attendees, gained on LPN attendees, like almost 500. And then LMHT, we lost some, but you got to realize the LMHTs only renew, everybody renews every 2 years. And it's on the same expiration. It's not done the same as nursing. There was a lot less nurse taught. I'm gonna read into that, but, and then of course more that others taught. Let's see, independent study. That did go down, and I would anticipate that. You know, people are kind of getting back face to face, and you see in your packet that you have what 4 or 5 new provider applications, and there's probably 2 more laying up on my desk right as we speak. So we are seeing more that want to be. So the contact hours for independent study went down. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. And then on page 14 are the IV therapy. And again, you will see that there's some that haven't submitted, so I need to follow up with them. Sometimes if they don't do any, they don't do a statistical report because they just assume because they didn't do any that they don't have to do that. But we actually need one that says like 0, 0, 0. So I will follow up with them. Again, just to kind of let you know the trend, and I'm not surprised by this. Because you remember what, a couple of years ago, the regulations were changed so that the IV therapy could be taught in the PN curriculum. So it wasn't just IV providers who could teach this. So of course, we're seeing the number of courses provided by these providers is down like 41, it's almost half. And I would anticipate that. LPNs enrolled in these are down by over 200. the number of LPNs certified just by the IV therapy providers is down almost 200. We're sharing a lot of the PN curriculum. That's where they're getting a lot of that content now. So I don't know if you're going to see over time that some of these maybe will choose not to continue with that. I'm not sure, but that's the trend that we're kind of seeing with that. I think that's all I have on that. If somebody has questions.
Thank you, Carol. All right, well, I think we are ready for our renewals. I have to thumb back up. Okay, ready for our long-term provider 5-year renewals. So we'll start with Hutchison. And I had that one. And Carol, do you happen to have that spreadsheet in front of you? I'm not sure who else had it with me.
I do, yes. It was you and Melanie.
Okay.
That starts on page 16.
Yes, and there are some pretty significant gaps in their application here.
And there's a couple as well.
The samples
Okay.
weren't provided. They did not address the participants' license number, title. There's some pretty, I mean, there are multiple gaps from what I'm seeing. Melanie?
I agree, on the certificate of attendance, like none of the information that should be included was included. And on the document of attendance, they didn't include the presenters' names. I'm sorry, the date and title of the offering or the presenter. Yeah, that's the other thing that I put on there. And on the sign-in information, I don't know how they're tracking the amount of time they're spending in there because they didn't have their time in and out. So I don't know how they're doing the CEU times. Or seeing who's staying for the whole time. That was the main thing that those are big things.
So my question was, when does their current approval expire?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have my laptop down here to pull that.
That's okay. I'm just not I'm not supportive of approving this in the format that it was presented. I mean, I know we've at times approved and asked for just a couple of loose ends to be tied up, but to me, there's pretty significant gap. Melanie, I don't know what you're thinking.
I agree. In fact, I recommended those. I would recommend that they fix those big areas before we move forward with it. The another thing that I noted was on their bibliography. They were all they're all online references on the. I'm sorry, I gotta find the one. Page 33. Which the NLN, it's grants and scholarships, but I mean, there's no books. It's all reference to online. I don't know, I wasn't comfortable with it. Everything's online. And I know we're a digital society, but I just wasn't comfortable with that.
So Carol, do you need a motion to not approve it, or can we send it back and ask for revision?
I think I just need a little clarification. If you want me to communicate what they're missing and they just need to send that, or if you're wanting them to resubmit another application that's complete based on this checklist that can be sent out on them, and they should just be able to follow this checklist right now. It's up to you all what you want them to do.
I would be inclined to ask for the latter, a complete resubmission with respect to the checklist. I think there's pretty significant gaps here, and Melanie presented some additional concerns I think that are valid, and that's my opinion. Melanie, anyone else, I'd love to hear others' thoughts.
Maybe they have a couple of other offerings that are maybe better prepared. That they could submit with every, the application. This one I just did it, I don't know. It's a great submission.
And I'll just add a comment about the reference list. I think I wouldn't have so much concern that everything is online. However, it's just very incomplete. There's no list of an author. There's no, there's really no information about what article it came from or what, it's just incomplete. And coming from a community college, I wouldn't expect that.
Yes. It's just not what I'm. I was very disappointed in it. From college.
So I think we're asking for a resubmission, Carol. I don't know if you need a motion for that or if that's just communication back.
Probably a motion, so that, I have the direction. And then I'll tell them that they need to submit it for December for you all to review it in December. Okay.
And maybe provide them some of the feedback that they've identified. What we're looking at.
Yeah, I'll probably just send them a copy of this checklist right here and say, this is what we've identified. Now take this checklist and submit another one with everything checked off on here.
So is there a committee member who'd like to make a motion?
So are we moving to return the renewal application to Hutchinson Community College and request resubmission after review of the checklist?
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Andrea.
And I'll second
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
it.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, so now we're on to the Institute for Natural Resources.
That was Lori and Karen, and that starts on page 95. In the packet.
And this is Karen. There were a couple of things I noticed on the credit statement on the brochures and certificates. I think it has the old statement. It had applicable for APRN, RN, and LMHT. I think on all their advertising or wherever the credit statement was, it was that credit statement. And then I noticed on their certificates on page 147, 178, they have Indra as the coordinator, but a Richard Coleman signed the certificate.
I think what the deal is there. The Indra is the actual coordinator, but this other person,
I think it said program administrator, maybe under his name.
something like that.
Yeah, it was 147, 178. Oh, yeah. So,
So that actually should be Indra.
right. Okay. And then their bids on their samples of the two programs, there were a couple couple outdated. There was a 1984, a 2005. And I know we've discussed before if it's a book that maybe is still pertinent, it's okay, but 1984 seemed a little old. And then the only other item I had, I didn't see a CD on Indra. So I couldn't really tell her 3 years of clinical experience or her 1 year of developing and implementing nursing education. And that was all I had on this. Otherwise, I think everything else was met.
I didn't have any additional. You got actually more than I did, so.
So is there a motion about how you'd like to proceed with this one?
I believe this one we could probably approve, but have them submit corrections and maybe get clarification on, or remind them that the coordinator needs to sign this certificate. Lori, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I agree.
So is that our motion?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead. I'll move to approve the long-term 5-year renewal application for Institute of Natural Resources with changes.
And I'll second that.
Great. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed signify by saying no. And any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Moving down to, I have to keep thumbing back and forth. We are to Kansas Hospital Association. I think
Yeah,
this was
that
180.
starts on page, yeah, 186. And that is Andrea and Teresa.
I thought this application, renewal application was well put together. I didn't.
My only question is that the checklist is marked that for independent study information. I may have just missed it, but I didn't see anything about independent study credit. Otherwise, I checked all the boxes and they provided adequate information.
On page 192, they talk about they subscribe to the definition of interactive study and independent study provided by the Board of Nursing. And it talks about on page 193, kind of independent study is distinguished from interactive learning.
Okay, great, great. Yeah, no, I think it was just maybe split a little bit.
Yeah,
Kind of
it's
where the
kinda-
other,
Kind of lost. a little bit.
yeah, so I moved right over that, so
I see what you mean.
all good.
I agree. It was well put together.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the long-term provider 5-year renewal application for the Kansas Hospital Association.
And I will second that.
Great. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed signify by saying no. And any abstentions? Okay, now we're moving on to Wesley Medical Center.
Yes,
No.
Wesley Medical Center, this starts on page 337. And this is Juliana and Ron.
I was actually very impressed with their application. I did not see any gaps. Carol, I didn't hear who you said. Was it Giovanni that was the other one?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either, Juliana. I did not have a lot of time to review it, but from what I can tell, it's pretty well put together.
I thought it was very thorough personally. Are there other comments from anyone on the committee? Well, I would certainly entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the long-term provider 5-year renewal application for Wesley Medical Center.
And I'll second that.
Great, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Okay, we'll move on to Wichita State University.
Yeah, that starts on page 369 in your packet, and that is Lori and Melody.
The only thing, to me, it's big, but it's a pretty good package, except on their advertisements, I don't see the statement that's supposed to be on there for the CNE. Was one thing I noticed. And the other thing is, if you look at their look at the second one, their educational offerings and biography, like 60% of it is greater than 10 years and a lot of it's greater than 20 years. I was surprised by that. This one. Starting on page 465, 467. I was surprised that they wouldn't like that. Other than that, great one.
I didn't
Well-
see any additional on that either, but that references were so hard to read those first couple pages too.
Yeah. If you look, I mean, just start at that page and keep going back. I mean, they're probably 60% or more were 10 years to 20 years old.
Yeah.
We have in the past asked for, just kind of a word of concern, maybe with the approval. I don't know if that's something you're interested in, or if you'd like to see a refreshed bibliography with updated references.
I would be comfortable with just reminding them that, because when it's published, it's usually 10 years old anyway. So,
I agree.
So just reminding them to use newer research on their program.
Well, and their topics that I skimmed were not topics that literature is really hard to find on. So once in a while you come across those topics that just don't have a lot of research, but that didn't seem to be the case here.
Right. That's how I felt too.
Yeah.
And maybe a reminder that the CNE statement needs to be on there.
All right, is there a motion?
I would move that we accept it with reminders to have the long-term provider statement on any advertisement or brochures. And to ensure that there's current references on any program.
Great. Sorry, I didn't hear. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Giovanni. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
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 And any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, Carol, is this where we should add in Stormont Vale?
Yes, the deal with Stormont is their renewal was due at this time. However, they got it in truly 30 days before, and that's right as I was leaving for Chicago. So there was no way to get it worked up and in the packet. So what we would like to do is just have an extension of their approval until December, and I'll bring it in December if that's okay. I'm gonna go back and require them to submit it 60 days before, because 30 days before is getting very close to when we get the packets ready. That'll be a little change. So that's what I'm wanting to know, if it's possible to get it extended so that they can still go ahead and give CNE and stuff like that.
That sounds reasonable. Are there any concerns from the committee?
No.
We'll entertain a motion then to. Sorry, Giovanni, were you talking? I missed something. I don't know.
Yes, Juliana. No, I was just asking Carol if before we've had any concerns, like whenever they went ahead and did their initial application. But Carol's saying that we haven't.
Stormont's been a long-term provider for quite a number of years. And truly this was because we couldn't turn it around in time and get it in the packet. So it's kind of back on us, you know, so I didn't want to make them not be able to give CNE for 2 or 3 months because of that.
Can you read that out?
I'm sorry. I moved to extend the long-term providership for Stormont Vale Health Center through December 31st, 2022.
Thanks, Melanie. Great, Andrew. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, now we'll go down to our new providers. Our initial applications for Aesthetic Learning Lab.
Yes, that starts on page 488. And that is Andrea and Karen. Actually, you guys may not have noticed this, but I, of course, looked at every one of these. And there's a lot of commonality.
There is.
Yeah, so
I did
don't-
notice that, Carol.
I don't know if one person put them all to, you know, if they paid one person to put, but they're almost all
Okay.
exactly just the different information.
I was reading my last one, it was like, I've read this.
Yeah. I know.
So
Yeah. So anyway, that
are they
is-
connected somehow or linked?
I don't know because they're different people, but it may be that they, they paid someone to actually do this for them, which I don't know that there's anything to say that they can't. Because they're out of different places, one's Texas, one's Missouri, so it's not like they're all in one place. I don't know.
I just noticed what Carol had picked up on the outline. It wasn't timed. So I'm not quite sure how they figured hours on that, but probably within the time frame, but there were no times on that outline. And then on Maria's CV, I didn't see where she had 1 year experience in developing nursing education, but did you catch that?
Yeah.
But otherwise, that was all I saw.
Okay, clinical hours this morning. No, I'm looking through that. Yeah, I had just the same comments.
So I would say approve with maybe reminding them to have the times. I don't know what you do about that. Education next week.
I think we,
addressed that before.
yeah.
I think that has come up, and I think, have we just asked that if, that they look to review the CV of their, because sometimes, I think it's a question of, do they have the experience, but they've just pulled a clinical CV and not included their, any educational responsibilities. I think maybe we just have a reminder to review.
I noticed there was a form, I don't know which page, but they had a checklist of what was required, and that was on there, but so I think they're aware of it. So I would move to approve the long-term provider application for a state learning lab with a reminder to have times on their agendas or outlines.
Is there a
I'll second that.
Great. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any opposed signify by saying no.
Did you second it? Sorry.
Can you still hear me okay? The computer went blank.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Just want to make sure everybody was still there because Dr. G, the NP.
Yeah, this starts on page 523 in your packet, and this is Yvonne and Teresa.
The only thing I noticed, Juliana, was, we don't have a copy of the certificate. And it was noted on the sheet. There you go.
I do have any comments on this one, and
So is there a motion based upon those findings?
Yes, Juliana, I go ahead and make the motion to go ahead and approve the long-term provider application for Dr. G, the NP, as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor signify by saying yes. All right, I guess I should ask for discussion. Is there any discussion first? All right, now all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. And then we have Heart Health Solutions.
Now, this starts on page 565 in your packet. And this is actually Giovanni and Melanie.
The only thing that I listed on there is that I don't see that there's any the year of experience in developing and implementing nursing education. It's all been, I mean, leadership and as a nurse, of course, you have education, but it's not in nursing education. Unless I missed it.
Other than that, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks good. I really liked her evaluation, the program offering evaluation on each one of them. I like what she did.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I missed that comment. It is,
We were just looking at page 590, which has the offering evaluation. That's all. What they do when they put together a program.
I'm looking at her CV, I guess, and I'm just. What are we looking for, I guess, specifically on the education? Because it looks like she has several mentions of education and some of the roles that she said. It's not specific. I see that, though. So maybe that's her current role, and develop and implement leadership education tools and training workshops.
Yeah, that's her. That's the position she's in, yeah.
And then as the Islands Hospice. Oh, there's something in there. I don't even know. Okay. Curo Health Services, Kindred at Home, utilization analysis, education, cost containment. But again, it's not specific. It's just the term. So I just don't know if we want something more specific from her. I would mention that.
And doing this since 2020, so she probably knows what she's doing, but it's just, I thought that, and we're all nurses, so we do education. I wouldn't have any problem with approving it. I just was looking at that. That's one of the requirements. Yes. I don't see it as. She's certainly doing it now.
can we count that in the current, I ask because I feel like when I have reviewed CVs previously, I looked at what their current role is, even if they were doing that coming into it, maybe this is the first time we've seen it, they have that experience coming in on what their current role is. So I think I have looked at that and said that was sufficient when I reviewed previously.
This is. Yeah, we're talking September of 2022, and she's been doing it full time since January of 2021, so it's greater than a year.
Yeah, I'm the same. I just wanted to understand what we need to see there.
Okay, maybe, do we have a discussion or a motion based upon that discussion?
I'll move to approve the long-term provider application for Heart Healthcare Solutions LLC.
Thanks, Andrea. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. And now I think we are at Paris Health Training Services.
NP certification.
Oh, I apologize, I missed one. You're right. NP Certification Academy.
Okay, that's on page 600, and that is actually Lori and Karen.
There again, on this one, it was so similar to the other one I reviewed. And they did not have the time on the agenda again, or outlines, so it was kind of the same. I did notice one reference was 2007. I think the only other thing was what you had noticed, Carol, that there wasn't anything written about each certificate and each CE transcript shall be complete before distribution. But that was all I caught.
Same, nothing new.
Okay, is there a motion we'd like to make?
This is Karen, and I move to approve the long-term provider application for NP Certification Academy LLC with a reminder to have times on agenda outlines and a reminder about being current on bid.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Giovanni. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, now Paris Health Training Services.
That's on page 636 in your packet, and that is Andrea and Teresa.
Just followed along the theme of. But, and this, I kind of went back to double check myself, but they only provided one example. So, we just have one offering example, and, again, no times on the outline. But I didn't have any other things noted. Oh, and with that one example, I don't believe we had the instructor's education and experience.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
So I feel like with this, we could approve, but I think they would need to submit.
Think that what, Andrea?
Sorry, I think they would need to submit two proposed offerings following the checklist.
I agree.
Doesn't the certificate need to have statement?
I don't believe the certificate does, just the announcement. Mhm.
So approval contingent upon those extra documents being submitted, another course offering example and
Yeah, so sorry, let me write this down here and I say it. So I move to approve the long-term provider application for Peers Health Training Services contingent upon two complete proposed offerings submitted.
And then are you gonna want the outline?
Oh, thank you. And inclusion of times on outline. Course
And then
outline.
That was one last thing, and that was the presenters experience. So that we can include those.
Okay, maybe you should just make sure I have that on. Okay, so I move to approve the long-term provider application for Paris Health Training Services contingent upon two complete proposed offerings submitted, including instructors, education and experience, and inclusion of times on course outlines.
I second that.
any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. And any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, so we're at the point in our agenda where we talk about what we might see in December of 2022 for our committee meeting. I know we talked about the regulations. Hopefully we'll have those back. Anything else, Carol?
Yeah, I can bring back more information about the annual report thing, you know, the missing ones. Try to figure out whether they relinquished or they just forgot about it or what.
I do think that would be good. We want to stay on top of that so we don't have such a big list of outstanding ones. So we've done a lot of work to clean that list up, so we'll keep it clean. Okay. All right, well, that sounds great. Is there anything else we need to discuss? So I don't believe we need a motion for adjournment. So I appreciate everyone's participation and thank you for letting me participate virtually. And I will see most of you tomorrow.